Right, let's talk about the bomb and pellet. As we all know, when it comes to pellet waggler, bomb and pellet fishing, it's so effective, especially on venues like this. And a lot of it's dictated by the weather, so you have to use what we call watercraft sometimes to understand what is the best approach. Today, without a doubt, the bomb and pellet has been far more effective than the waggler, simply because it's still early on in the day. Later on in the day, when we've been feeding the peg for a bit of time, getting the fish competing higher up in the water, that's when the waggler plays its part. But as you can see, it's a really windy day, and on days like today, that's where the fish are more happy following your bait down and feeding off the bottom, coming back up to the depth where they want to be and digesting the food. So you constantly have to feed your peg to give them a reason to follow your bait down. My setup is really simple for the bomb and pellet. I've got a Shimano 10-foot feeder rod, 0.22 line to a 1/2 ounce bomb. Not a bomb too heavy really. I want kind of like a reasonably light bomb. It's in line, quick change bead at the end, but a reasonably light bomb that kind of like gives the fish the opportunity to actually see the bomb and the pellet falling through the water. And it also makes a lovely noise on the surface, which mimics the sound of a pellet hitting the surface as well. 12-inch hook length, 0.18 aspire line to a 14 hook, and just a simple 8mm pellet. I'm a big believer, if I'm feeding 8mm pellets, that's what I want to put on the band. That's what the fish are feeding on, that's what I want to catch on. However, there are times where your little twists when it comes to hook baits really do make a difference. And I've caught quite a lot of fish using the F1 Sweet, feeding the fishery pellets, the 8mm here, but actually putting an F1 Sweet pellet on the hook as a contrast bait. And that often works, especially at Hayfield where the water's reasonably clear. That works an absolute treat. Just something different, and I think a lot of it is confidence. If you're confident that it's going to make a difference, sometimes that's what happens. So always be armed with a few little hook bait choices just to try if you're struggling. But generally, standard pellet on the band will work absolutely perfectly. A nice setup, quite a light quiver tip as well, which allows me to tighten up to the bomb as well. And because it's an inline setup, the fish are actually hooking themselves against the bomb itself. It's still free running, as you can see, but it acts as like what we call a semi-bolt rig. And once the fish picks the bait off the bottom, it comes off, it lifts the bomb off, and that's what sets the hook initially, and that's what gives you your bite. So a really nice, simple approach. The feeding behind it is the most important. It's not a case of constantly feeding bits of bait. It's about 3 pouchfuls, making lots of noise, giving the fish too much choice to grab the bait on the descent. That means they're forced to follow the bait down onto the bottom, and in turn, you'll catch them quicker, and there's a better actually chance of them taking your hook bait at the same time. Feed too little, and then you're going to bring them up, higher up in the water. The same principle with the pellet waggler, that you're actually trying to catch them on the bottom. So feed large amounts, maybe 2 or 3 pouches, and then don't feed. And that gives them a reason to look around and actually follow that bait down to the bottom. If there's constantly bait going in, there's no reason for them to follow that bait down.